Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Can you hear me? Please, 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 can you hear me? Oh, look at that. My banners are messed up. Oh, am I going to fix that right now? No, I'm just going to turn the banners off because I got enough problems as it is at any given time. Banner, open up, close it down. I didn't expect that to be broken, so they'll just disappear. Why did my phone just beep at me? People say they can hear me with echo. With echo. Yes, you can. Look at that. Fixing the echo in 3, 2, 1. Echo free, I suspect. Please confirm that that is in fact echo free. I'm as always, folks. I can never let sleeping dogs lie. I am experimenting once again. After all of my seeming technical issues have been cleared up, I decide to introduce new opportunities to have more technical issues. Once again, I've switched from using Streamlabs OBS. I am now running 2 instances of regular OBS simultaneously in portable mode. One of them is recording this, so I'll have it to edit together my final podcast later on. And the second instance is streaming the first recording instance with all of the, the avatars and the goals and whatnot superimposed on top. So I'm running 2 copies at the same time. That gives me a lot more control. It is a little bit more taxing on my machine. I thought it wasn't. I thought Streamlabs was more taxing, but running 2 is a little bit more taxing, so it might all blow up in my face today, but so far, so good. Jimmy says all good. Raven Rose says perfect. Echo Free says Duck Death. Thanks, everybody. Hey, how you doing? Oh my goodness. All right, so far, so good. Let's see. So I don't need the banner anymore because I'm just not going to fix that right now. I'm not going to put any banners down at the bottom. We're going to be doing some stuff today. First of all, we're going to do some unboxing. I mean, the main thing I'm here to do is it is time for me to record my monthly podcast. I got a whole bunch of questions that have been submitted to questions@rahdo.com. I am just going to go through them and record myself. And at the same time I'm recording, I'll be streaming to you. Once I'm done with the game-related questions, I won't do the personal stuff because Jen's got to be here for that. And Jen does not want to stream live. Once I'm done, if you're still here, we will append questions from you. So you, the audience, can throw questions at me as well that will end up going into the ultimate podcast that'll probably be uploaded on Monday or Tuesday next week or something like that after I edit it over the weekend and get Jen to record her half. So, but all before we do any of that, we are going to unbox the watch from Rio Grande Games and PD Games. And I just got clearance for this. Ares Expedition Discovery Foundation Crisis. This is a new expansion for Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. As far as I know, this has not been revealed anyplace. I think this is breaking news, everyone. I'm pretty sure they haven't talked about this. I noticed there wasn't an entry for it in Board Game Geek, so I will be opening this. Now, fair warning, this is a prototype. This is not the real thing. So it's not a proper unboxing because I've already opened it to make sure everything was there, but I haven't really looked at any of it yet. I'm hoping to play this for the first time this weekend. So this is just me getting ready for that. So that should be very, very cool. From what I know of it, let's see. Oh, did they? Yeah. So this is, I don't even know what box this really is. I think it's a regular Terraforming Mars, but they went through the extra mile. They actually pasted stuff on all sides to make this seem like it's the real thing. Although, oh no, I just got it upside down. So that's actually very, very cool. So I'm going to open that. I'm going to give you everybody here first sneak peek, first in the world as far as I know, super exclusive. Before that, let's actually do the watch. This just showed up in the mail the other day, and I have to admit, I'm really excited about this too. I don't know if anybody knows, although before I start doing that, I should pay attention to the chat. What kind of host am I? Just talking, and not listening. Let's see here. What have we got? Kabuki Kid. Hey, Kabuki. Oh no, before you run, Kabuki, did you get your YouTube notification warning that we were live today? It should be running, and it worries me that seems like every episode now you say you didn't know it was going live. You're here on time. How did you know? Let me know before you go if you haven't already gone yet. All right, so the echo, that was taken care of. Right, Oh, I need to be reading over here, don't I? Yes, I do. All right, because this is where I can put stuff on screen. All right, so here we go. Yes, echo free. Need to run away from most of this. But lurking, thank you for lurking. Lurky. Oh yeah. Goblin. Yes, I'm going to be recording the podcast stuff with Jen tomorrow because I have to actually schedule her time. She is so busy. Actually, I would think she'd be done with all her Valentine's Day stuff by now, because Valentine's Day is next week. It's probably too late for me to make an order, but I know she's still super swamped with orders. So we are booked to sit down for a couple hours and record the personal Q&A tomorrow. So not too late. If you folks have any questions about Jen's and my personal life, you can send them to question@rahdo.com. That's an email address, and we will talk about it in the next podcast. So it's not too late, Goblin. There's still time. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever done this. I mean, I've been the first to, have my video up for various games over the year, but it's never happened for literally unannounced. I don't think this is the only place you can get information about this. So I'll try to do a good job of unboxing it. All righty. Kabuki says, yes, she did you got your YouTube notification. Okay, I'm glad to hear it. Oh, and by the way, Kabuki, yes, it was you who noticed that I hadn't set up my little running men correctly, so they were transparent, they disappeared. Thanks to you mentioning it a couple of weeks ago, I spent last weekend creating color-coded ones. The color of your little running man in your avatar will say how long you've been a subscriber. Although I don't remember what any of the colors are, quite frankly. Maybe I should have just made them 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and not have the running man. But anyway, yay. Okay, cool. All right, things are heating up, so let's get going. So, all right, so everything's in a different place. How do I do this? How do I get rid of that? Why won't you close? Kabuki Kids, all right, world exclusive. All right, Goblin said world exclusive. Hey, wait, feature chat has suddenly stopped working. Okay, it's not reading. Let me refresh that page. Feature.chat is the independent website that I'm using to put everybody's comments on screen, and it's just stopped. I'm refreshing now. It's spinning. Oh, don't make me have to find yet another solution to a problem. But, wow. Well, I know it's set up so that Kabuki's notice will go away in 2 minutes if I don't make it go away myself. And the page just, spinning and spinning. That is unfortunate. Alrighty. Nazgoth, did I find a badge for Patreons yet? No. I'm sorry, that is still on the list of things to do. I've actually had a few different people offer to start making micro badges for the show, and I just haven't gotten my act together, and I really need to. Alright, what the heck? Reloading again. I wonder if this won't go away if the website's not running. Alright, let's close it. Open in a new window. Close it completely, restart it. Relaunching the browser. All right. Okay, good. You're actually asking me to log in now. Okay, cool. It looks like it's fixed. And then I go back to my dashboard. And, okay, yeah. I don't know why the website crashed. Hopefully, that will be the beginning and ending of all technical issues on today's live stream. Alrighty. As Armor Sword points out, something, it was almost going too well, wasn't it? So clearly something had to fall apart. And so it begins, the slow deterioration that is inevitable. Thanks for the resub, Eclectic Camel. Those resubs happen automatically, right? It's really a bummer. They're just as valid as anything else, but I cannot figure a way to make the stream avatars sing and dance when somebody does a resub the way they do. I need to talk to so many things I need to do. I need to talk to the stream avatar guy saying that they don't pick up that event on resubs. All right, but thank you for the follows, everybody. Hey, Black Echo. Wait a minute. No, that's just a regular sub. Hey, dance avatars, dance. Welcome, Black Echo 22. Sing and dance. Oh, so maybe that's just broken altogether. All right. Well, I can make them dance. Mass dance. There we go. There you go. Thank you. A little late. The avatars are now dancing for Black Echo and Eclectic Camel. I think they will do that forever. How do I make them stop? All right, I can probably mass jump. That'll probably knock them out of it. Okay, there you go. Everybody, as you were. So I need to look into that too. All right, folks, you're seeing it here first. I am opening up Notepad. For the first time ever, I am making a to-do list. 1, stream avatars not responding to subs. 2, follow up on emotes badges, because we need some stinking badges. All right, cool. now I'm obligated to do it because I wrote it down, so it becomes real. All right. Goblin wonders, why does Kabuki shoot stars out of her head wherever she goes? That is because Kabuki is the current reigning champion of catching the stars. You know those stars that fly by every once in a while? Kabuki, she is greedy. Even though she probably has 10,000 customization points, she is still... she is just the queen of catching them, jumps up and catches them every time. I think she's doing it just to maintain her dominance, because if somebody can catch more stars than her, they will get the little stars. There's two of those. Another one is you might occasionally see somebody walking around with little hearts floating out of them. That means that person has hugged more people than anybody else. I forget who is currently at the top of that list. But as I understand, those are the two things you can do if you are really Johnny on the spot with hugs and catching stars. Okay, so let's go on ahead and start unboxing some stuff. Overhead camera? Yay! Hasn't crashed! Oh my gosh. I am tempting fate. So this is the watch from Daniel Newman. I think I played a couple of his games. I believe he did the roll and write version of Rolled West, which was very good. And I'm pretty sure I played another one of his games too that I liked, but I cannot remember for the top of my. And of course, Rio Grande is not going to list his other stuff. But hey, as a trainee at a Soviet watch factory, I discover a dark secret. By mastering my skills in smuggling and extracting bribes, I have a chance to become a true hero of labor amongst my mischievous comrades at the former munitions factory. Watch is a strategy game for 1 to 4 smugglers in Soviet times. So, work like clockwork, like a tactical genius, 50 real metal gears, solo rules. Let's take a look at them gears, shall we? Fingernail. My thumbnails are too short. There we go. I got one. All right. Okay. So, I've been excited about this one for a while. It seems like it's a neat worker placement game with a twist. And yep, as promised, here are a bunch of cool little metal. Yep. Oh, I just dropped one. There we go. Cool. Hopefully my green screen hasn't crashed. Wah! Yep, there they go. So that's nice. That's a bit above and beyond. I remember a time when Rio Grande Games was not particularly known for high-quality components, but those were very cool. Alrighty, so I believe these are the player boards, where I think over time you have stuff and you unlock more things, kind of a Terra Mystica style. Punch board full of non-cool metal, but money. And I think that's something that unboxers always talk about. How good do the things punch? It feels that they punch very smooth. I'm not getting any hanging chads. So well done. Oh, this is important. I believe this is the round marker, a gigantic bullet. Because if I recall correctly, I watched a little bit of Paul Grogan's video on this. He did a run-through of it the other day. Paul Grogan is fantastic. Everybody should subscribe to him if they are not. Let's see. We got tally boards. We've got progress boards. We've got more player boards. Now, these are not hard. These are... Honestly, I almost like these more than hard because, in my experience... A board this size is cardboard. Over time will warp, where these always lay flat. But hey, for some people, you're not going to like the flop. It is a little floppy. Let's see. We've got a rule book at the bottom. I am not going to read the rules. But I don't recall ever really having much of a problem with Rio Grande. Looks like one page. Solo looks like a pretty simple system to add. Alrighty. And the board. Of course, what's good is doing an unboxing if we don't actually show that board. Right, so as I understand it, we all work in a former munitions factory after World War II that has now been repurposed into making watches, which is why we're focusing on making all these gears and cogs and stuff. But apparently, we can smuggle. These are all the worker placement spots. We got a whole bunch of wood. Whee! Oh, and one just is, that blue chip is going to be hard to find later. Right, so these are us, and these are our workers, and it's kind of Kanban style. In that on my turn, I got to move to another worker placement spot. If something is blocked, I can't go there. And I believe if you're playing a 2-player game, there's a dummy 3rd player. I think that's what this die is for, that makes them roll and move around to different spots. All right, these are just standard tokens. This is a round token, etc., etc. But the interesting thing is, as I understand it, these dark worker placement spots are illicit activity. Hey, I'm on the German side, aren't I? There we go. How about we go to the smuggling, upgrades, search files, and I guess overtime is an unspoken thing. No overtime in communist Russia, I suppose. So you can go to the the work you're supposed to be doing: sell gears, produce gears, scrounge, and do the watch. But where did that big bullet go? That big bullet, which I think is the round marker, or it's some kind of activation thing. But basically, every round, if you go to these illicit spots, you can get caught. And if a player wants to come here, they're the ones that can potentially catch you and get bonuses by turning you into the apparatchik, I suppose. So we've also got some cards here. And that's about all I know of the game. But it sounds pretty cool. And again, those are very, very cool Metal Gears. And let's see here. Take a look at these cards. All right, I got to remember, I am putting this blue thing over here as a reminder that I saw one of them fly off the table, because I want to forget that. All righty, so here's the player turn order in case anybody is interested. And, English-German. That is consistent throughout. Okay, we got some solo cards. Looks like objectives that the solo player might go after. Right, so these are the cards that indicate which of the places will get inspected by the management. And again, if it was you that was doing it, I believe you get to choose which space. Otherwise, it's chosen randomly or something like that. As I recall. Again, I only watched a few minutes of Paul's when he first did it, and it was enough to make me say, oh, that sounds cool. All right, okay, and so all of these are... Well, now we're getting to the point where I don't know what all of these are. These are obviously cards that will do different things. Here are some characters. Some, looks like some special powers. Got a when caught, the bank pays a bribe. Okay, and let's see what else. Move one of your tokens on the majority tracks. Okay, so there's an area majority thing going on apparently. What else have we got? Oh, more bribes to the bank when smuggling. And so there's all these characters. I assume these probably are our overseers. But I'm not really quite sure. But I'm really excited about this one because because Kanban is fantastic as a worker placement. You know, you're constantly picking your workers up and down, and the idea of worker placement spots that might be dangerous or might not. So there's like a little bit of tension. That is very, very cool to me, and so I'm excited to check out. Maybe I will do a run through for it next month if the voters deem it so. But that's just a quick little unboxing of the watch. All right, but now for the fancy one. The one that I only just got clearance to talk about 25 minutes ago, Ares Expedition, Discovery, Foundations, Crisis. I would assume that is the actual name of this. I believe it's actually 3 different modules you can turn on. You can add Discovery stuff, Foundation stuff, and Crisis stuff to the game. This, I don't remember the exact day, but it's going to be going live on Kickstarter, I believe, in early March. So, breaking news, everybody, and I do plan on covering it for the campaign. I'm just excited because I want to play more Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Just missed my top 10 of the year. So, I've got some prototype printout rules. This one is for Discovery and Foundation and Crisis. Righty, and I believe what they sent me was everything I need to be able to play the game in case I didn't have a copy of the game. So I've got some of the dual layer boards. That's all very nice. Here's Mars. I mean, this stuff we already know from the main game. They were just sending me all the basics. Yeah, like here's the, here's all the stuff from the regular game that you need to play. But there's a bunch of new stuff. Mostly, hey, Terraforming Mars Expedition is a card game. Look at all these cards. Look at them! That's a lot of cards. All right, and what else have we got? We've got some tokens that are numbered. And I've not looked at any of this stuff. This is all news to me. I'm going to be a little bit more careful about this. I'm not going to be quite so laissez-faire and have half of it roll off the board. But we've got some numbered tokens. We've got some warning stuff. We've got, this I got to open. What are these things? Okay. We've got, temperature, your cards cost 3 credits more to play. Oh, do not resolve the development phase. Oh, celebrity. All right, okay, so that's obviously a goal. Have the most credit production. And there would be another goal. Try to be the industrialist. All righty, yeah, so we got a bunch of those goal-type cards. And then we've got these things. Oh, this is what those tokens were. Okay, ways to get more points, I assume. Be a diversifier. Have 3 red cards or 9 different tags in play. Be a legend. Be a magnate. Be a tycoon. Alrighty. And then we got a few more: a farmer, a builder, space baron, a terraformer. Folks can go back and pause later if they want to look into these. Right, okay, and then we've got a couple more of these, general purpose. I assume these are, looks like, I mean, if it's the most science, then it's going to have to be something you resolve at the end of the game, right? To be a researcher. And then, okay, we got another one of these things, which I don't know what they are. Ocean, decrease the temperature, or is that the O2 count by 2? Right. And then we got some positive ones, maybe? Oxygen, do not trigger bonuses during the development phase. That still doesn't sound good. Temperature, your card. No, these are the exact same thing, but they're two different versions of it. So I don't know what any of those are, but they are one of the new modules. We got a whole bunch of little tokens here. Whee! That represent all kinds of things. Man, now that I'm doing this, I wish I had actually taken the time to read the rule book before I started so I could give you a more informed, because I'm not used to doing uninformed stuff. But that is definitely what I'm doing here. I mean, I spent a little bit of time watching. All right, and then with some more tokens. Right, but anyway, all of that's beside the point. This is what you want, right? You want those cards. Although, what are these? What are these? Okay. Okay, well, apparently there's a new crisis step. Where we put detriment tokens into play based on various metrics. We resolve persistent effects of crises in play. And then, so there's a crisis deck we have to deal with. And, hey, the dummy is still there in case you're playing 2-player or solo like us. Or actually, no, only solo. That's an unofficial house variant where Jen and I bring the solo player into the 2-player game. Alrighty, so that tells a lot. I probably should have started with that, because then I would have known those were crises and whatnot. So, okay, what do we got? We got a whole bunch of cards. I am not going to go through every single one of these cards, but I'm assuming that's a new corporation. Now, one thing I know is that apparently with this new version, we are getting alternate, more powerful versions of the action cards that exist in the regular game. I should probably let you actually read these instead of just covering them all up all at once. I just forget that this is live and you can't just go and rewind and watch what I'm looking at. So, so we've got a bunch of these, and which is very, very cool. Obviously that's a huge change to the game. Fundamentally changing the nature of what types of actions we can do while playing. So that's very cool. It looks like there's a whole bunch of these for all players, of course. Let's see, and then what have we got here? I'm just going to go on ahead and start. So I'll cover them. I'll do them one at a time, so people can look at them for a little bit. All right. And actually, let's see, how's everybody doing? Everything going fine? We haven't crashed yet. All righty. Let's take a looky-loo. All right. All right. Much quicker than regular terraforming. Oh my gosh, yes. I could never go back and play regular Terraforming Mars after Ares Expedition. Wes Lloyd. Alrighty, Knights around the table. Stacy is here talking tonight. Hello, Stacy. Hello, Ryan. Right. Love the dual layer boards. Funtac is an awesome inexpensive alternative. Ruel is spreading the Funtac love. Glad to hear it. Let's go ahead and put some more of these on the board. Let's see. I mean, somebody tell me if these are, clearly, the prototype, so there's no art on the blueprints card. All right, let's see here. You folks can read those, right? I didn't really test my green screen today to make sure everything was fine, and I'm looking at it in a tiny screen. Let's see. All right. Swap my English side. Teflon. Love my ring. Well, that's very nice of you to say. All right. Let's go. Let's stop this unboxing for a second and talk about my wedding ring. Jen actually designed this. In her early 20s, she was a professional jeweler. She worked at a jewelry shop in downtown Seattle, basically kind of an unofficial apprentice, and she learned all the tricks of the trade. And when we got married, she designed hers and mine. It's rose and white gold banded together. I have a really simple plain version of it. Jen has a more elaborate version of this that is basically the same stripe, but in the center, it's about twice as wide, and she put amethyst in it because that's her favorite gemstone. So yeah, that is the wedding ring. And life hack for everybody: if you want to be a good husband, when you get the ring, have the date of your wedding inscribed on the inside of the ring. So if you ever need to look it up, you've got it on you. Very, very handy. Has gotten me out of trouble in quite a few cases. Righty. Let's see here. What else? Forgot to tell you that I've changed oh wow, the blue tack. Oh, what's happening here? Well, thank you, Sam. Busting out some stickers. Excellent. Okie doke. Oh boy, I'm bouncing too much. Alrighty. All right. Let's see. Very beautiful for both of you. Thank you, Forrest. Yeah, I mean, I've been wearing this every day now for, I don't have to look, 1991. So that's 2001, 2011, 2021. Over 30 years, I have worn this every day. It is very well grooved into the finger, as you can see. Although, I do have a bad habit. I take it off all the time if I'm in meetings and just spin it like this because it spins so nice. It's like the top in Inception. Okay, we're not living in a dream. It's reality. So this is something I just do to pass the time. And there have been a couple of times when it's flown off the table. And like, don't do that. And I always say, that's the last time I'll ever do it. Because I'm worried it'll go, down a heating vent or something like that. Right, anyway, back to the unboxing. Hey, folks, we've got exosuits and cryogenic shipments and biomedical imports. All right, that's a whole bunch of red cards. Let's have some green cards. Some miting. Some heat reflector. Of course, green cards are not going to be good on the green screen. Let's get rid of those green cards. Let's not speak of those. Okay, actually, so a bunch of new cards. Bunch of new technologies, investments, all that kind of stuff. A whole bunch more. Okay, and then we've got more, I'm assuming, new corporations that we can run. So that's all very cool. And again, after we're done with this, folks can go back and pause and read more about it. Sorry, I'm not doing everything today. But okay, here's the big deal. Look at all of these cards. Almost half of this deck of cards, it looks like, is this new concept of, it looks like, events. We've got bleak forecasts. And then, let's see, so that's the actual story of it. And then you flip it over. And okay, I guess it comes from that draw pile. Alrighty then, let's try to figure out what we're looking at here. We've got Tier 5, 4 players. I'm assuming that's a 4-player token. Tier 3, 4 players. All right, so those are all, and we got for 3-player games, I assume? I assume that would be 3-player, tiers 1, 2, and 3. But maybe that symbol represents something else. But as you can see, okay, so here's a whole bunch of these. And we start out with the tier 0s, bleak forecasts, damage reports, distress signals. And so they make things happen. Let's jump up to some middle ones, some tier 3s. We go on to reglaciation. That sounds like a good thing. Crop failures. That sounds like a bad thing. A second impact. Oh, no. And then let's go to some big heavy ones. Uh-oh. Dwindling supplies. Nuclear meltdown. Almost pulled a George W. there. And an extinction event level. Okay. So that, folks, is just a little sneak peek, just a taster of, what's it called again? Oh, I put everything in here. It's the Ares Expedition Discovery Foundations Crisis. All right. There's one more thing I could do. I see. They sent me 3 separate rule books. Right. Righty. So the overview, the difference, handle all crises. All right. So is there just like a summary of what's new in this? Handle all the crises to win. Right. Because this is the crisis. Right. Every round, a new crisis card will be drawn that will require players to achieve certain goals to remove the crisis from play. Each turn that a crisis card is not completely dealt with, it will lower one or more of the terraforming metrics and that keeps Mars habitable. All right. So that's one of them. Then we've got foundations. Alrighty. This expansion includes 2 game boards. One is a larger score track. The other is a 4th terraforming metric infrastructure. Oh, hey, I forgot about these. Alright, so there's our infrastructure progress we're trying to make. And there's that, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Alrighty. And then new project cards that involve infrastructure. So that's the second rule book. And then, right, and I read Crisis, or the summary of Crisis, and then Discovery. Discovery adds 4 new mechanisms. It says mechanics, but I can't stop myself. I have to say mechanisms. To base Ares Expedition. Awards, milestones, upgraded phase cards, and wild tags. Awards and milestones work very similarly to how they function in traditional terraforming Mars. Wild tags give players flexibility as to what tag the card has when it's played. Ooh, changing cards on the fly. And upgraded phase cards give players an even bigger bonus when they play in the corresponding phase. Woohoo, folks. There you go. World exclusive. You heard it here first. Live on February 10th. Probably, I would guess, about a month before it goes live on Kickstarter. And I'm sure now that I've said this, I mean, you'll probably be able to read about it on Board Game Geek pretty soon, I would assume. But anyway, that's it, folks. I promised some unboxing, and I have unboxed. All right. Phew. Let's make sure everything is a-okay, okie dokie. Yes. If they, Ryan, of course, immediately jumps on the pedantic bandwagon about mechanism versus mechanics. I was only pointing out today, look how egalitarian I am, and I'm totally letting it go because I used to correct people whenever they'd say, oh, I love that mechanic. And I'm like, what, you mean the guy who fixed your car last week? There's no reason to be a dick about it. But yeah, strictly speaking, mechanisms follow the rules, but everybody knows what you mean when you say, I love that gameplay mechanic. So I let it go. It's hard. It's hard. It's like, anyway, though. So, yeah. What else have we got here? Oh, and Ryan also points out that apparently I'm just bombarding you with nerd stuff, but it's cool nerd stuff. The coolest of nerd stuff. Alrighty. Let's see. Anything else? I don't see anybody warning me of any danger, anything that's gone terribly wrong, which is good news indeed, since I'm pushing this stream to the limit by recording in one copy of OBS. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to confirm that there is actually a file that is being written as we speak. Because it would be nice to know that the whole point of this, that the recording is actually working. So let me get you up. Right, so I need to go to my edit box directory, wait for it to sort by date. And yes, today is the 10th. Yep, okay. An FLV file is being written to even as we speak. So far, everything's coming up Rahdo for you and for me. Woohoo! Okay, then. All right, thing number one. I promised some unboxings, and oh, did I unbox? Did I ever unbox? Now, we're going to go to what I was already going to do today anyway. I don't know what you folks were doing today, but today was the day I sit down for probably an hour or so and record my half of the monthly R&R Rahdo Talks Through Podcast that will be going on to, whatever your podcast platform of choice is, early next week. And so I record my half, which is just really game-related stuff, and then tomorrow I'll record Jen's half. There's a few game questions I think she could answer, so I've set some of them aside for her. And then we will also be doing personal Q&A as well. And then over the weekend, I'll put that together and I'll put it out next week. And I figured, hey, why not stream? I mean, it's easy enough for me to push two buttons. I push the stream and the record button when I record this thing rather than only one button, the record button. So if everything else is going A-okay and nobody has said, okay, apparently we're still on grammatical, where did you go? Where did you go? How do I feel about apostrophes going just any old where? I try really hard. I do know what the rules are, and I even try to do the the plural possessive, putting it at the end of the word, so it represents an S's, I can't think of something. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I try, but I'm also very sloppy over time. I mean, the last time I've actually capitalized anything, it's something I very rarely do when I'm casually typing. I just can't be bothered. I use way too many ellipses. I'm ellipsis crazy. I drown everything in smileys, but I do try to adhere to the Queen's English and use my apostrophes correctly. But I make no guarantees, Goblin. Alrighty. Right. Let's see. Okay, it looks like people are just talking amongst themselves. So, with the overlays though, I thought they were included. Okay. Yes. What is happening? I'm not sure who is talking now. But okay, you folks can work it out yourself. You can work it out because I got to get to work. So, I'm the one guy in the office email chain. I hope you mean the really cool guy that everybody really loves and respects and isn't annoyed by. Like I said, I've let it go. If you want to say gameplay mechanic, that's totally fine. I will not correct you and say mechanism. Although I did just literally correct a rule book and say, because they said gameplay mechanics. I'm like, it's gameplay mechanisms, guy. Come on. It's fine. Totally readable. Not going to worry about it. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think everything's going fine. Nobody has had to throw bombs at me, meaning the sound has disappeared or anything like that. We don't have the echo anymore. So I think that's just an overall screaming win for me, quite frankly. And I can't complain too terribly much. So I will just, let's see, what should I do for a win? I am excited that everything seems to be going very well. So I will have a dabbing unicorn to celebrate that we are 36 minutes in and no massive catastrophes have befallen us yet. And with that out of the way, I will, let's see. I will begin what I've come here to do. So I need to go to the other scene, which scene? It is that scene. There we go. All right. Let's see. Am I going to record? Should I record the intro now? No, I'm not going to record the intro to the podcast right now because I don't know what Jen said and who knows maybe. So I'm just going to, the podcast format is, first I talk for a few minutes about what's going on. Oh, I will talk about one cool thing, but I'm not going to record the intro right now. Hey folks, if you got here right at the beginning, during my 8-minute countdown, you can see games that have been run through. You may have noticed feminine hands running through a game. Tomorrow, officially, will be the debut of Kimberly Tolson of Tolson Tabletop, or Tabletop Tolson, who is going to be the new regular ongoing contributor to the channel. And I am so happy about this. So happy that I wish I had thought to think ahead and actually put some information about Kimberly on screen. That would have been smart. Can I quickly go back to the browser? And all right, no, I don't want to go to that. Let's see if I go to this, and then I can minimize you for now, and I can say, hey, search for YouTube, Tolson Tabletop. Kim is awesome. I have been a fan of hers for quite a while, and I've been subscribed to her. She is an English teacher, as I recall, and she does all kinds of things, does reviews, and I've seen her occasionally do brief run-throughs, and I thought, I think she could do it. And then when I found out she had, like Shay, a dramatic arts background, and she's like a dungeon master and does all kinds of stuff with her students and whatnot, I thought, okay, she probably has the improvisational chops to pull it off as well. Plus, as you can see, she does silly, funny videos also. She does serious videos, but she likes to really do lots of split-screen stuff. I can't imagine how much work those are to do. And she dresses up and all kinds of stuff. And she's great. She's charming. She's very, if you, on Board Game Geek, she has her collection of like over 500 games. So she knows her stuff. And she's just fun to listen to. She's got great improvisational, and tomorrow she will be making her first appearance on the channel doing a run-through of Seven Wonders Architects, which does not reflect like the full scope. She loves big, heavy, bombastic games. She has a much wider range than me. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she will be producing, but I'm really happy with the Seven Wonders Architect video that she has done. And I cannot, you know what I should have done all this time instead of taking to her channel. Although, again, go to subscribe to Tabletop Tolson. She's great. You won't regret it. She is just a blast to listen to. She always has really good takes on stuff. But starting tomorrow, you'll be able to find her on the Rahdo channel as well. So that's another world exclusive. See what you get when you show up? Probably the exclusive unboxing of a heretofore unannounced expansion for one of the hottest games of the last 5 years is probably a bigger deal. But I'm more excited about Kim joining the Rahdo family and seeing what she can do. I know what she can do. She worked really, really hard. She totally nailed the let the game speak for itself aesthetic, as you will see tomorrow. So, everything good otherwise. Alrighty. Super cool news. Yes, thank you. Oh, I'm so happy. And she's not the end. I've got other people in the wings who are, in the process. I really want to expand the Rahdo brand. I really want to bring more voices to everybody. I've got a big audience. I've got the third or the fourth biggest audience in the industry. I want to use it for good. That's why you've noticed I'm starting to wear, hey, Lord of the Board. I've ordered more t-shirts for more channels. Lord of the Board is just the first one to show up. I'm trying wherever I can to raise voices. So it's not just about me anymore. So that's all very, very cool. But having said all that, I am now going to flip that on a script, and it's going to be all about me today because this is the Rahdo Talks Through podcast, and I am going to go through a few pages full of questions right now. Now, after we are done with this, folks, I will stick around and we'll do a Q&A. And if you have any questions, they would have to be game-related questions, not personal stuff. Although, man, if you ask personal stuff, I wouldn't answer it, but I could probably throw them in with Jen. But, oh, man, we already have so many personal questions. It's weird. When people send questions to the podcast, to questions@rahdo.com, personal questions outnumber game questions like 2-1. And it didn't used to be the case. It used to be the other way around. It was just like a few personal questions. But now people really want to hear about Jen raising chickens or how we manage our finances or what we thought of the latest Spider-Man movie or whatever it might be. So that kind of stuff comes in a lot. So when we get to the end of this, I will be taking questions from the audience that could go into as well. And here's what you want to do. If you want those questions to stand out so that I don't miss them, what you want to do is you want to start the question with a question mark. I will do that now in the chat to demonstrate. Question, won't you answer my question? Boom. And so, to everybody else, it looks kind of weird. Hey, why'd you start a question with a question? Because what happens is, when you do that, it throws that into a special dedicated queue on featured.chat that I can see, so I will not miss the questions. Because, when I'm trying to manage everything, it's easy to lose it in a sea of various and sundry things. So, if you have questions that you would like to go into the podcast, start them with a question mark so that I won't miss them. And after I'm done with the main stuff that's already been sent in. So, and also while I'm actually talking through all this stuff, I am going to just be focusing on this. I'm recording my podcast. You folks are just here along for the ride. If I say anything that prompts any questions, you could ask follow-up questions. That's something that's never happened with the podcast before. So we'll see what goes on. But in the meantime, I'm going to turn on my little thing that reminds anybody who shows up late, hey, I'm not responding to stuff right now, but I will do some Q&A afterwards. Right. One more drink. One more sippy sip. And man, this thing just keeps... I mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago, I accidentally broke my old earbud that used to stay in my ear. This one I just had, it doesn't... look at this thing. It's designed. It can extend. It's supposed to stay in like nobody's business, but it's constantly wiggling around and falling out. So I need to come up with a better solution. And mostly I just have this in my ear in case I hear it start exploding. If there's boom, 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 I know the sound has gone out. So anyway, so it doesn't have to fit perfectly. It just has to not fall out. All right, I'm getting warmed up here. So let's go on ahead and take off all our clothes. It's so hot in here, I gotta take my clothes off. Woke up this morning, it was 58 degrees in the house because Jen had turned off the heat overnight and didn't turn it back on. So it was quite chilly, but it has warmed up. Apparently she has turned on the heat a little bit, or at least, I don't know, my internal furnace is going. Okay. Wow, that is dedication. Ryan would like to let everybody know that he literally uses toupee tape to affix the earbud to his ear. That is a solution. I shall consider it, as evil Spock said to good Kirk in Mirror Mirror when Kirk transported back to the good universe. All right, here we go. Says Old Man Kosher. Yes, you're right. One last sippy sip. And okay, everybody, it is time for the questions. We're going to start out with some thoughts from Gerald, who notes that Gerald knows that I played Carpe Diem with the new Rondell rules, and I didn't like it. That is very true. I was not a fan. Did I ever play it again with the star and enjoy it as much as I had before or after the rule change soured the experience? Yes, I have. In fact, I haven't played it with Jen since the weird... Ravensburger just decided, hey, you know what? Let's do a stealth second edition of the game. When they did their first reprint of the game, they made what they view as a cosmetic change to the game that, to my way of thinking, radically changed it didn't change the gameplay, but it changed the feel. No, that's not true. And it also changed the gameplay and made a very important component weaker to adhere to this again, aesthetic change. And it made me so angry. And it really weakened the game. And Stefan Feld himself posted online saying, you don't have to do this. You can play the old one. It's like, why did this happen? That I actually knocked it down several layers because the new rules, and the only way you can buy it now is with these new rules that makes the game a bit weaker to make this aesthetic change. So anyway, Gerald knows that and wondered, well, have I ever gone back? And maybe I'm oversensitive. Yes, I did. I actually got to play, I think it was a 4-player game of Carpe Diem at Dice Tower West convention with Lance Meister, the Undead Viking, and a few other folks. And oh my gosh, it was one of the most fun game experience I've had in years. If you ever meet Lance, ask him about playing the real Rahdo. when the gloves come off, Rahdo, when the camera isn't on, and somebody takes that tile that I need so desperately. Ask him about playing with that, Rahdo. It is nothing like my normal camera persona. I get a little salty sometimes, but it was all in good fun. But oh man, we got so loud. And yeah, having that star in the center of the board and bouncing around, it literally lightens the mood of the game. And taking that out makes the game, I mean, people accuse Feld games of being kind of dry, soulless, points optimization machines. And, that's a valid critique. So why would you take something that's fun, that adds velocity and momentum, rebounding basically, out to enhance that? Drove me nuts. And I can say from personal experience, yes, the game is still better with, and I had a fantastic time playing. Alrighty, next up. Did I choose all of the cover-facing out games based on art or some other criteria? So, for folks who can't see, if you're listening to the podcast, or if you never actually watch me, I am sitting in front of a bunch of shelves of games with all the boxes faced out, and so it looks real pretty. There is I can't really say that I'm doing anything in terms of like color balancing or anything like that. Let me go on ahead and let's see. Let me look at the full thing a little bit here. Yeah, I'm looking around. It's mostly things that I want to highlight, games that I am especially excited about, or that I think maybe aren't getting as much attention. Like, I just put Pessoa. Pessoa is the newest game I put on the wall. Because Jen, I just put my run-through up, and I think it's a fantastic little game. And it's not going to get anywhere near as much attention as, the latest thing from Fantasy Flight or whatnot. So I'm very happy that it's, if ever you watch my videos, just over my left shoulder, there's Pessoa just peeking in. And I hope that it sparks interest in somebody. And then maybe they'll, oh, what's that? Well, if it's on his wall, maybe I should search for Rahdo Pessoa. And then they see my run through. So, that is the thinking. And the same thing for Islands of the Mist and Anno 1800. I love that so much. And Art Deco, another one from Rio Grande Games. So that's probably the number one consideration. Things that I really want to celebrate. It's not true across the board, but that's probably my number one thing. I have occasionally moved stuff around because of colors, because I also just like to have a really nice kind of pastiche patchwork. So it's just really bright and colorful, but there's nothing monolithic. For a while, I was putting stuff up in the top corner that was all black, so that you basically just could not see my camera, because my black camera would just kind of blend into that. But I've kind of done away with that, and now I just kind of move the camera out of the way. Which I'm not going to do right now because I don't want to mess with things, but that's okay. But yeah, it's more than anything else. Like this one right here, Vivid Memories. Spoiler alert. Floodgate Games is an occasional sponsor of the R&R show that I do every week with Ruel Gaviola. So this is a special sponsor slot. Not only do I love Vivid Memories, not only do I think it's absolutely phenomenal, but Floodgate is a sponsor of the show. So they get the pole position, the best spot, so that anybody looking at me just can't help but keep looking at that, and maybe they'll do a search for Rahdo Vivid Memories, and maybe... So, but for the most part, all these other ones are just stuff I think is cool. That's my number one consideration. Back to the Word document. Okay. Why, this is all from Gerald, why do I no longer think Boone Lake is Pfister's second best game? The number one thing that when I thought about long and hard, first of all, Boone Lake is fantastic. It's not the number one game of last year, but it's definitely comfortably in the top 5 games of 2021. There's one huge thing it doesn't do. And I'm kind of kicking myself. I totally forgot to mention this in my final thoughts. But I was so disappointed when I saw it did not continue Alexander Pfister's love of inserting little miniature narrative campaigns into his games that he's been doing in Blackout Hong Kong and Maracaibo and Oh My Goods and all this. And I love it when he does that. It so elevates the experience for me. It so gives me a reason to go back and play. Because I live in a world where, hey, after I film the game, I'm done. I got to move on. But, if there's a story and the game will keep evolving, it gives me more of an opportunity to go back and see more of the game. And I was just really hugely bummed when I saw that Boone Lake just didn't do it. And I'm afraid it means, is this the beginning of the end for Alexander Pfister's push for more narrative into dry, dusty, soulless economic simulation Euros? I hope not. Alexander, say it ain't so. Say we'll be getting a cool little, narrative mini campaign in the inevitable expansion from Boone Lake. I certainly hope so. Also, I did actually mention a couple of things in my final thoughts about Boon Lake, having to do with the length of the game. And it's interesting. I mentioned two things in the final thoughts that I thought would potentially make really good variants. One is that when you're moving down the river, you always move one more than whatever the tile. I mean, you take a tile, and that tells you can move 1, 2, 3, or 4 steps, and that's the timer that moves the game forward. And I suggested, hey, because some people find the game can take a long time, what if it was always the number on the tile plus 1? So you move 2 to 5 instead of 1 to 4. And that would hugely, it doesn't sound like much, but that would hugely speed the game up. And Alexander posted in the comments on my final thoughts, said, that's a great variant. I think it would work great. And I'm like, yeah, oh, that just warms the cockles of my heart. So when I get a little bit of professional design validation. And the other one I mentioned was, it has this really cool objective system, Boon Lake. One of the cooler ones I've seen in years. But the points you get out of it are just not that impactful. And so it's very, very easy to say, oh, you know what? It's just 3 points. I'm going to ignore the objective thing. And but the interesting thing is it's a bit more than that, because if you score the 2-point objective, that means you don't lose 2 points. So it's a 4-point delta. Still, 4 points in a game where you're scoring as high you do in Moon Lake is just not that big a deal. And so I suggested, what if you scored just 1, 2, 3, or 4 points for the first, second, third, fourth objective, but instead of losing 1, 2, 3, or 4, you stand to lose 2, 4, 6, or 8. So that would double the losses, and that would make you afraid, and that would create more tension, and then you would fear and respect the objective system that is so cool. But I think right now, players could safely ignore it and not worry that they're really hurting themselves in the overall standing of the game. So I mentioned those two, and Alexander said to that one, he really liked that idea also. So take that as an unofficial, that both those things implemented. I haven't tried them. Those are just guesses, but Alexander reckons they would work really well. I think if those were the real deal and I got a chance to play it, that would probably bump it up quite a bit. But still, to make it into the upper echelon, I need my stories. I need that narrative campaign. So we'll see what happens in the future with that. But anyway, Gerald's last question. Will I do a run-through of the new Libertaria remake? There's a friendly calm mode. How friendly? I don't know. Yes, I will be. Yes, I have. Where is it? I mean, the box is somewhere around me. Although I'm really not supposed to talk about it right now because it's under a heavy embargo, and I literally have no idea where I put it in this room. So, yes, to answer your question, I will be doing a run-through. We're under embargo for it right now. I've actually already filmed my run-through. And, Patreon backers of the show will get to see it a couple days early without the final thoughts, and then I'll make it live, I think, if I recall correctly, I believe the 15th of February. So next week. The run-through will be going live in a couple days earlier for Patreon backers. And I would love to tell you all about it. But I'm under embargo, so I'll just leave it there. I'll leave it there. And I would also love to wave it in front of the camera. But maybe it's in the other room, because I do not see it. So, we're moving on. Gerald is done. Let's talk to Griffin after I get a sippy sip of water. All right. Griffin says recently that, Griffin says, recently I've been feeling less motivated to learn new board games. Likely this is due to the solo nature of it and being a bit perfectionist, as I want my group's first play to go well. I totally sympathize with that feeling, Griffin. I mean, nothing is worse than sitting down with only a half understanding of the rules and trying to teach it to Jen and seeing her just like stare blankly out of the window when I mess up and I don't remember a thing and I got to look it up again. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel that pain. It's not that I don't want to play them, but can find the learning first setup process to be a chore. Of course, it's a major part of your job, Rahdo, so I'm sure you've experienced this more than me. But do you have any tips to get over the board game learning procrastination? Do you do anything while you read rules? Put on music or podcasts, etc.? Do you have anything that makes it easier for you? Well, first of all, no way would I put on a podcast. Because if anybody's talking, I need total silence. Because reading rules is hard, and trying to dig through it, and it's boring. And anything that's any kind of distraction, my brain goes, I'll go look at that instead. So no, if there's something going on, I will leave the room and go into another room and close the door so I can shut. But it's interesting. I feel that same thing. Like, gotta do a new game today, which is literally every day of my life. And what I do is for almost every game, I get the game out. I don't care what the rule book structure is. I skip to the, hey, show me how to set this game up. And I go through the setup. I find that makes it so much more pleasant because I have already touched all the pieces. I have already shuffled all the decks. I feel like I have a physical connection to the game. And so that helps propel me through the rest of the rulebook. There have been plenty of times I've had to read the rules, like when I'm on a flight, on the way to a convention or something like that, or in the car, and I know as soon as we get home we have to play this game, and I download a PDF of the rules or whatever. That I try to read the rules that way, and it is literally 3 times harder for me. If I have not touched these things, if I have not seen them, if I have not seen where they all sit on the table in relation to each other, it is a chore. It is a nightmare, quite frankly. For all but the simplest things. But on the other hand, if I have touched it, then I start reading the rules like, oh. But having that scaffolding, having touched it and felt it, it makes it smoother, it makes it easier, and it's weird. I don't always, but I often find this as I start reading the rules, I start enjoying it because it is a path of discovery for me. Because I've read literally by this point 10 years. I've done this for almost 10 years now. I have read thousands, literally thousands of board game rule books now, from stem to stern. And I've gotten to the point where I can really get a good sense. If I've touched it, I can really get a great sense. It almost feels to me like I'm actually playing the game while I'm reading the rules, because I'm imagining, I have literally, Jen has seen me reading a rule book and seen me go, oh, because wow, that's going to be cool. I can't wait to try that in game. Now that's me. I don't think that's most people. So that's something that helps me get over it. Other things I do to try to make it, I am shocked how bad a job the vast majority of board game rulebook writers do. Here's some things to make it easier, because the standard structure for an average board game rulebook has literally gotten worse in the 10 years that I've been doing this. First of all, they'll do, okay, hey, here's a whole bunch of components. That's fine. I'd rather actually touch the components. I've just explained why. Then they do the setup. Great. But then they'll usually do 2 or 3 or 4 pages of, let me explain basic concepts of the game. Stop doing that, rulebook writers. That is the worst thing you can do. You are forcing me to try to memorize stuff that I have no concept of because you haven't taught me the basics of the game. And sometimes they'll even do that and you won't get to the setup until midway through the rulebook. So the first thing I do is find me the setup, set up the game. Now, read the thematic intro to help me set the stage for where I am, who I am. That's very important. Then skip everything and go to wherever it is in the rulebook that it starts describing the structure of the game. Often that is halfway through the freaking rulebook, and that is a sin. It is a cardinal sin that rules writers keep screwing this up. I go there. And usually it's really simple. It's like, okay, we're going to play through 6 rounds. Each round is, it's going to be, each player takes 2 turns or passes. And on a given turn, you do X, Y, or Z. And, and then, once the 6 rounds have passed, we go to a final bonus round where we do this thing, and then there's final scoring. So you got to read that first. First, physically set the game up, then read and absorb the setting and the structure. Then, once that's in your head, you will find everything else becomes a lot easier. And here's the next thing that rule writers screw up a lot. They'll start the structure, but there's 6 rounds, and each player will take 1 action, but they can do bonus actions or whatever. And then they will spend 5 pages talking about the different actions you can do. And I'm like, I'm not ready for this. Tell me what happens at the end of a round. Don't change subjects on me halfway through this rule book. I'm learning about structure. I'm learning the overall flow of the game. But then you stop and make me learn about a bunch of specific things, and then you'll pick up later with the rest of the structure. So, another important thing. Set up the game, read the setting, set up the game, find the beginning of the structure, and then skip all the minutia and get to wherever the end of the structure is. And read the end of the structure so you fully understand how the overall game flows. Once you've done that, then go back to wherever it is. Sometimes it's at the beginning of the rulebook, sometimes it's at the end of the rulebook, sometimes it's in an appendix, who knows. Then go through and read. And once you have the foundational understanding of this game, then you're in a position where your brain will much more easily absorb, okay, action X, Y, and Z. This is the way rulebooks should be written. Occasionally, I find one that's written this way, and I guarantee you that's going to be a rulebook that nobody complains about, because it just works, because it understands human psychology. I say all this, my major in college was scientific and technical communication. I took courses to train how to take engineer speak and rewrite it so that human beings could understand it. This was originally going to be my profession until I sidestepped into the video game industry. So it's jaw-dropping to me how often they get it wrong. And so I don't blame you, Griffin, that you find it so daunting. But if you can do better than the writers. And I mean, you can be more selective about how you jump around. And that's one of the things that helps me quite a bit, is that I will not stay bound to the shackles of a poorly written rule book. I will dynamically re-edit it on the fly by looking for the stuff I need to know, rather than what the rulebook writer thinks they should tell me based on dogma, because board game manuals are based off of war game manuals. War game manuals were written by engineers. And that's where we're at right now, and it's something that the industry must get over. Rant over. Thanks, Griffin. Next up. Next question is semi-related, but how do I deal with my partner or game group not liking a game that I love after the first play? Griffin's had this happen a few times, where the game he adores falls flat, and sometimes he feels it could be his teaching, but he doesn't know. But he knows it's likely that, it's like the game is the cup of tea. My solution for that is don't let it happen. I mean, that's why I read thousands of rule books, because I've already read the vast majority of rule books before the game ever came through my front door, because I've checked it ahead of time to make sure I would like it. But that's less important, to make sure Jen would like it, because 5 or 6 years ago, Jen started saying, you know what? I'm kind of getting burned out on this board game thing. Maybe we should take a break for a while. And that was a real wake-up call for me, because I didn't used to vet games as much as I do now. So now I double and triple check. I rely on the pedigree of the designer and the publisher and the developer wherever possible. Because that's important. Developers do not get near enough credit in our industry yet. They're so influential. And but anyway. So I rely on that. I read the rules, and I'm relatively confident. At the very least, even if she doesn't love it, she'll find it interesting or like it. And occasionally I screw up, and that's just a personal failure. Then I go back and I should have anticipated this. I should have seen why she wouldn't like this, because I go back and what did I miss when I vetted the rule book? So that's my solution for it. Just don't let it happen. Be more selective. I used to be willing to play anything and everything under the sun. I am not anymore. I am incredibly picky. And if I read a rule book and I find even the tiniest whiff of something that I think she might not like, I pass. Because you know what? There's another 20 games waiting in the queue, and I don't need to take the chance. It's rare that I will literally take a chance on a game if I think she's not going to like it. So that's my best solution. I try to avoid the situation, because it feels terrible when you mess up. All right, moving on. Griffin had some big questions. Perhaps Jonathan will calm me down. Jonathan's obsessed with a few recent games that he believes I appreciate. Dune Imperium, which is awesome. Jonathan says, Lost Ruins of Arnak. Jonathan loves it too. And Imperium Classics. And Legends. Don't forget Legends, Jonathan. I think the innovations I've seen this past year in deck building are the most exciting since the original Dominion. Am I being hyperbolic, or do you agree? I hadn't given this a thought, but you're right. Interestingly, last year, was it 2 years ago now? I feel like, wasn't it 2020 that we got Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak back to back? Oh, that's going to drive me nuts now. I need to look that up. All right, Arnak. Arnak is a 2020 game. And in 2021, we got the Leaders expansion. It was interesting. 2020, I played 3 phenomenal deck builders. Lost Ruins of Arnak, Dune Imperium, and Winter Kingdom? Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. The game from Stan Kordonsky. Winter Tale? Endless Winter. All 3 are amazing examples of the same idea. Deck building combined with worker placement. And all of them did it in new and interesting different ways, melding different things. Imperium brings in the area control, and it was a great time to be a deck builder fan, to see games doing so much more. And I completely agree. Very, very exciting. So no, probably I would say to date, the single most influential and important evolution of deck building as defined by Donald X. Vaccarino with the creation of Dominion is what Aeon's End and very few other games do. The idea of don't reshuffle your deck. That as you play cards, you define the order they go into your discard pile, and when you're done, you just flip that over. So that it really enhances the idea of what do you call it? Combo building, because you build those combos, you put them together, hoping that you'll be able to, as opposed to just hoping the shuffles will give you the combinations of cards. I mean, now that's been around for a while, and so there have definitely been, great games standing on the shoulders of giants and doing new and cool stuff over the last. Did Dominion come out a decade ago? I want to say 2008 is when Dominion came out. I think that's right. But you're right. I mean, I would say 2020 was a banner year, very exciting. And then you're right, Imperium Classics and Legends, which did come out last year. Oh my gosh. Oh, it drives me so nuts that there's so much take that in that, because I would say Imperium Classics and Legends is maybe top dog these days in terms of heavy designer card games. I would say these games are superior. This is blasphemy for a lot of people. To Race for the Galaxy. Superior to, what other ones? Funfair I really, really love. And Res Arcana. I would say Imperium Classics and Legends take the entire. Those games are just so drowning with cool, amazing, revolutionary ideas. It is a good time to be a deck builder fan. It's just a shame that both games had too much take that in there. I just couldn't separate it, so we didn't keep them. But oh man, I mean, I would say Imperium Classics plus Legends is the game of the year of 2021. Better than anything else that came out. If you don't mind the occasional, yoink, I'm going to steal your stuff kind of thing. I cannot recommend those enough. So no, Jonathan, I mean, you're talking to the king of hyperbolic here. I literally, in my 20s, worked for a software company called Hyperbole Studios. So hype is woven into my DNA. So you're asking the wrong guy if you're being too hyperbolic. I think it's great. I'm very excited with everything that's coming, Jonathan. Okay, Kirk says, Kirk knows that I have never played Scythe. That is correct. I've never played it. And Kirk knows I'm familiar with the game, and maybe more so now that Shay covered it for the channel. Jamie Stegmaier, the designer of Scythe, frequently refers to it as an engine building game. And based on the definition that Kirk has heard me describe for engine building, Kirk's not sure that I would agree that it's an engine building game. Do I consider Scythe to be an engine builder? That's a really interesting question. I wouldn't think so. Now, and I did watch Shay's run through of Scythe when he did it, but I mean, that was like what? Well over a year ago now, I think. Or maybe not that long, but at least half a year ago, and I don't remember a lot of the particulars. But Scythe, an engine means you actually construct something that you run repeatedly to get an expected set of outcomes. Now, here's the problem, Kirk. Engine building does not exist as an official board game mechanism. It's amazing to me that when Engelstein, not Sydney, Jeff Engelstein wrote a book of gameplay mechanisms, and Scott Alden, the head of Board Game Geek, liked it so much. He said, hey, let's put all of this. This is like the definitive definition of what gameplay mechanisms are. Engine building was not on the list. And so I think Jamie is right to call Scythe an engine builder if he wants, because there is no official definition of it yet. We do not have a Wikipedia entry, which is what a board game definition would be our equivalent of. So, if Jamie wants to call it an engine builder, hey, more power to him. But from what I understand of it, no, I don't think it is. Maybe there's some engine building-esque elements of it. Maybe there's a few little things. But the fact that you take stuff off your board and that gives you access to things doesn't make it an engine builder. So no, I wouldn't consider it one. I could be wrong, but I would have to look into the game deeper. And then Kirk continues. On a recent Wednesday chat, Jamie mentioned that Jamie had specifically designed Scythe with me, Rahdo, in mind, as he had long been an admirer of my show. And then Kirk continues, as it's well documented that I declined to cover it because of the combat element of the game. Was I aware that Jamie was literally designing the game for me? No, that is news to me. I did not. I did not hear Jamie. I know Jamie does like weekly Facebook chats. He just gets lives and answer questions. Great that he does it. I did not see that, and that is. I feel really bad. I feel like I should try it now. But here's the weird thing. The reason I didn't try it is because I talked to Jamie. Jamie offered to send me one of the first copies of it. And remember I said earlier about how careful I am to say no to anything that I think Jen and me won't enjoy? I said no. I took a long look at the game, and I was like, look, Jamie, I want to cover it. I love your designs, and I love the production of this. I love everything. I love the player boards and all that. But correct me if I'm wrong. If I am not willing to send my mech out to steal all the stuff that you leave stockpiled in some forest tile somewhere, that means you're not incentivized to invest your resources in defense. Because I'll never take it. And then mechs become just this thing for exploration and whatnot. And like a sizable portion of the balance of the game goes out the window if players aren't willing to attack each other. Because then it becomes a logic where it's like, everybody just leaves their stuff lying around, and it upsets the overall economic balance of the game. And I said, yeah, is that the case? And he said, yeah, Rahdo, I don't think you're going to enjoy it. And now that I read this, Kirk, I think he was probably a little crestfallen because he told me that. He recommended, you probably shouldn't play it then. That makes me sad. I did not know that. And it's what's interesting too. I forget, Rise of Fenris, I think, was an expansion that added cooperative play. And I'm like, I'm all over this. Finally, I get a chance to play Scythe. And I asked Jamie, hey, so do you, but the thing is, with Fenris, I believe the rulebook, when I was reading the rulebook and vetting the game, it specifically said, we strongly recommend you play regular side before you start playing this cooperative mode. I'm like, I bet we can handle it. But I asked Jamie, and he said, okay, how serious are you for this? I mean, this is for novices, right? And he said, no, I strongly recommend it for anybody, no matter how experienced they are as a gamer. Do not try the co-op game until you've really gotten the basics down by playing the regular game. And I'm like, then you're saying I should skip it. And he said, yeah, you should probably skip it. I'm like, oh. So that's why I've never played Scythe. And like now there's this whole extra layer to it that I was totally unaware of. Thank you for sharing that with me, Kirk. That is really interesting. Okay. Nelson has 5 questions, and he numbered them. Question numero uno. Nelson says, I've mentioned in my farm shop, a cool little game I did a run through for, that it replaces Space Base. And Nelson continues, I believe Roll for the Galaxy replaced Race for the Galaxy. What are some other recent examples of Game X replacing Game Y? That's a good question. My brain is not good at that, but tell you what, let me bring up ye old browser. Let me see. Let me go to gone.rahdo.com and let me see if I've actually made a note that I'm getting rid of this because I've got the other thing. All right. And it's thinking about it. Here it comes. All right. Oh, and all right, I need to zoom out a bit because I cannot see. When you go to gone.rahdo.com, you get a nice little list of why I got rid of stuff. But I'm zoomed in so far you can't see it. All right, so there we go. All right, but I need to sort this by modified, so we're not talking about stuff from 5 years ago. All righty. And so, well, the crew underwater replaced the Quest for Planet 9. Does that count? No, I don't think it counts. I don't think that's what you're talking about, because that's literally just the sequel is better than the prequel, so I got rid of the prequel. Right. I got rid of Brussels, but only because a new edition's coming out. I got rid of Rialto. I mean, there's all these re-themed Feld City games, but again, those are the same game. You want different games. Alrighty. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling down, which is not particularly interesting for anybody to listen to, I'm aware. I'm sorry for that. Oh, okay. Steampunk Rally. I really like Steampunk Rally a lot. It's a great deck builder slash engine builder slash racing game. But it had like little, look, I can drop an oil slick. I can use a grappling hook and slow you down stuff. It's a racing game where we're building our cars as we're racing. And after I played, did I say it here? What did I say? I said out of room, calling more games I like, donating to Dice Tower West Convention. Maybe you'll see it there. Okay. I didn't go further than that. But one of the reasons this one ended up going down to Vegas is because I have Cubitos. And Cubitos does everything, almost everything that I mean, not everything, but it does similar things to Steampunk Rally, but it does it without the, smash you into the dirt, break your car kind of stuff. It's a very live and let live racing. It's so much more pleasant. So that's a great example. Let's see here. Oh, what else? What else has replaced something? I mean, that's one that jumps right out. Most of these are, I'm getting a newer version of it. So that's really not going to be as applicable. I don't think it happens that often, quite frankly. Does it? I mean, that's one. If that happens once or twice a year. I mean, yeah, Smartphone Inc. got replaced by mobile markets. But again, that's just, the quicker, faster, more efficient version of the same game. I think that's going to be more commonly what you see me losing a game for. But hey, I gave you one example. Off the top of my head, made everybody listening have to wait while I slowly scrolled through a list, but that's something, right? I've done it. I've done it, Nelson. But you have more questions, I know. Alrighty. When was the last time Jen and I sat down and played a few games that weren't for work, and what games do we play? It has been years since that has happened. Back when we were still in Malta. Is that true? Has this happened since? Back when we were still in Malta, when we were really, really heavy hardcore into Gloomhaven, every Sunday we set aside for Gloomhaven Day. Didn't matter what either of us had requirements for, what games were waiting to be covered. We said on Sunday, we're just going to play Gloomhaven. And we'd usually play a couple of sessions, or maybe 1.5, and we'd finish the session on Monday morning, and then we'd get back to our regular lives. We did that for, I want to say, maybe 6 or 8 months, and played through almost the whole storyline. Or, obviously leaving a lot of side quests off to the side. We very rarely lose in Gloomhaven, by the way. Gloomhaven is fantastic. And since then, we eventually had to stop because, we had to start doing other things on Sunday, and then we just never got back into the rhythm. So, has that happened for anything since? There might be one or two or here or there, but I can't think of any to save my life. Everything we play is in service of Rahdo Runs Through, is in service of creating more content so more people can learn about more games. That's my entire life, and it will be until I retire from the show. Okay. As a Marvel Champions aficionado, are there any standalone games that I think captures or comes close to the feel of the mechanisms and card play for Marvel Champions, but doesn't require the ever-growing expansion? Can I suggest, I believe I just mentioned this earlier, Imperium, Classics and Legends. Oh my gosh. If you don't mind a little bit of take that, and you want a completely self-contained standalone game, give that a go. What else pops into my mind? Funfair. It's the same in that, I got a handful of cards. I'm trying desperately to get all these cards played because I feel like I'm not really successful if I get on. But you're doing different things. You're building a carnival instead of fighting supervillains. But Funfair kind of scratches the same itch. And again, it feels like a self-contained game where you don't have to rush out and get more stuff. Unlike Marvel Champions. Obviously, Marvel Champions is designed to make you feel like you have to run out and get more stuff. I mean, of course, Marvel Champions by itself, the main box has 5 heroes, 3 villains. There's a lot of stuff in there. You'll get a lot of play before you're like, another Kang, I think I've had enough, and you really need to start buying. It's a really great value. But yeah, there's no choice about it. Eventually you will feel like, I need to see something more. So I would suggest the Imperium games if you don't mind a little bit of player versus player stuff. Or if you do, if you're like me, check out Funfair. All right. What and when is my next top 10 revisit? Kirk's wife. Was it Kirk? I mean, Kirk? No. Shoot. Did I? This was all Nelson, folks. Sorry, Nelson, if I was calling you Kirk. Nelson's wife, and he got into deck building very much. Aeon's End is to blame. And they've been enjoying engine building games quite a bit. Maybe it's time for another top 10 engine building games or cooperative adventure games. Maybe. The thing is, switching over to doing weekly R&R top 10s, which means I'm doing top 5s every week. And they are still top 10s because if you watch them live on Twitch, after the top 10 is over, we stick around and do Q&A with the audience, and we reveal the rest of our lists. So it's really 2 top 10s, but only if you watch live. And you don't have to watch live. You can watch it after the fact as well. You just have to watch the extended edition of the R&R show, where you'll get my entire 10 for a given topic instead of 5. The thing is, those were not very popular videos. What I have discovered is, doing the R&R show, people want top 10s more than anything else just to get ideas for what games they should buy. And the problem is, as I mentioned earlier, engine building as a concept is really foreign and alien to people. And, it was not a very popular video that I did. And and honestly, I got a lot of flack because for the thumbnail of it, I used like a picture of an automobile engine that had been broken apart. I really we're building an engine. And I got so many people who saw the thumbnail and thought I was actually doing a video about cars. But board game people are like, what do you mean engine building? What is that? Can I search for that on Board Game Geek? And I don't know why you can't. I've already mentioned that earlier in the podcast. It's really weird that is not a mechanism because it's something a lot of people love. Deck building is definitely something that we should do. It's been a while. When did I do top 10 deck building games? Let's go to the Google. The Google will tell me. Rahdo, top 10 deck builders. I feel like it's probably like, I did it, is only 2018. So 4 years ago. I would say maybe at the 5-year mark might be a good time to do that. 5 years, we'll have enough. Because I would want it to be celebrating all the new cool stuff. I wouldn't want it to just be a repeat of the same thing. So, yeah, I think in 5 years. So probably not this year, but next year I'll be revisiting that. Sorry. Okay. And then finally, Nelson says, for the R&R show, it would be awesome for listeners like Nelson who send in email with secret words to get some kind of acknowledgement or auto reply that says something like, you've sent your secret word to some game name. Good luck. Are you talking about the secret words that people have to find? Here's the deal, Nelson. There's nothing automated about that process. Those emails that go to contest@rahdo.com, I look at every single one of them manually because technical reasons. I used to have a thing set up. I can't do that anymore. So I'm manually checking. I check every single one of them because sometimes people write notes or send pictures of their pets or what have you, and I really appreciate all of that. And sometimes people ask questions, and I actually reply because hey, I'm right there. I'm checking it. And it's all. If people ask questions, I'll actually reply. It's another way to ask me stuff, and instead of like in this kind of format, sending questions to questions@rahdo.com. So if I were to set up some kind of automated, so when you send that secret contest in, you get an email back saying, good job catching the secret word. Well, first of all, a lot of times people don't. A lot of people guess. And it's obvious when they do. And I'm like, sorry, that's not right. So, and a lot of people spell the secret word wrong. Or a lot of people put it in the wrong place. Or a lot of people, so there are many reasons I have to do it manually. And I certainly don't want to manually have to. I mean, I guess I could. But, there's literally hundreds of them that come in every week. So I think it's a great idea. And I think it would require me getting a lot more professional and organized and setting up some kind of really smart mail server system or something. I was this close. A couple of weeks ago, we had a catastrophic Rahdo.com mail failure. The mail server was just down for an entire day, and it really sucked because a lot of people were trying to enter the contest, and they couldn't. That's when we extended the contest for an extra week so that everybody could get a chance to enter. And why am I talking about this? We got it fixed, and that was good. And one of the reasons we had to fix it led to me having to manually check everything. Oh, but yeah, as I mentioned, at the time, we were like, maybe we shouldn't rely on email for this. Maybe I should set up some kind of online survey. And instead of send your entry to, I can't think of the word now. Send an email to contest@rahdo.com with the name of the game in the subject header, which vast majority of people don't. A lot of people put it in the body, and I have to search for it and stuff like that. It's fine. It's no big deal. But if I set up just like some kind of automated online survey where I said, hey, everybody, go to http://contest.rahdo.com and fill out the form. Give me your email address so I can contact you if you win, and type in the name of the game. I could do something like that. And if you got it correct, then that could be a system that automatically sends out. But I don't know. It's something to think about. You've given me food for thought, Nelson. I'll leave it at that. Especially because it wasn't a question. And this is supposed to go to questions@rahdo.com. Okay, we're moving on to Olivier, who just learned that I will be covering the new implementation for Stonemaier of Libertalia. And Olivier loved the original game and remembers that I was very turned off by the cutthroat nature of it. That's true. Was Jamie pretty sure that I would like the game before sending it to me? Olivier knows Jamie himself. The story I just mentioned about how Jamie warned me off of Scythe. Or was I going to review it no matter what? And just because I love the original design and trust Stonemaier's, I would say it's that. I trust Stonemaier's game model philosophy, as Olivier puts it. I definitely wanted to try it as soon as I heard about it. Even if, I said earlier that I vet things. And I'm really careful. I generally don't try to take chances. I took a chance on Libertalia. And I can't talk about it yet. I cannot give any opinions. You'll hear, my final thoughts video and the run-through will go up next week. But what I can say is I was willing to take a chance. One, because even though Libertalia was not for us, because it was too cutthroat, both Jen and I could appreciate just how brilliant the design is, because it is. It's one of the greats. And two, I'll be honest, what I was really interested in was seeing how did they implement solo. That really caught my eye because I am the biggest fan in the world of Morten Peterson and the Otama Factory. And so every time any game where Morten Peterson is involved, I must play it. Even if I know Jen and I will hate it because, hey, I'll just check it out for the solo. And I think it's not for a bit of a spoiler to say my run-through that I'm putting up next week will be demonstrating the solo mode. Although I'll be talking about how the multiplayer mode works and how, so you'll get a full sense of the game. But I can't say what I thought of the solo mode, but that's what pulled me in. It was not Stonemaier. It was the Otama Factory that pulled me in and really made me want to take a chance and check out Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. And I'll talk more about it next week when the embargo lifts. All right. Okay. Next up. And that was it from Olivier, right? Yes. Okay. Hi, Will. Will has come to a point where he really needs to start considering the BGG rating his collection in a more thorough way. But before he starts going down that rabbit hole, he's curious how I approach the ratings myself. Right. This might be most helpful to think about in two distinct related questions. Question 1. You have 3 questions here. You say 2, but there are 3. Question 1. How do I rate games now? Meaning, how do I ponder, think, feel my way through? Versus 2. What do I wish past Richard had done when rating games that I find myself now cleaning up today and that future Richard might benefit from, aside from simple fact, new versus not new, right? And perhaps bonus question that helps most. Oh, the third is the bonus question. If I blew up my ratings and started from scratch, or we're starting over, or even trying to merge a smaller list to a bigger list, how would I consider starting? Pick an archetype game, and then you get several options of how I might do it. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, so the way I do it now is, well, I have a list of 400 to 500 games I have rated. And for folks who don't know, let's just go to it. If you want to, anybody wants to check it out, let's bring up that ye old browser again. Boop. Let's go to rank.rahdo.com. And this is a shortcut anybody can go to that lists my collection sorted by my rating system. And my rating system, the highest ranked game I have is 9.9. That is Pandemic. The lowest ranked game I have is on page 2. It is a 6.9. Adlungland. And then I've got a whole bunch of stuff. And the odd thing that people will always find very odd is occasionally they'll come across Amun-Re the card game, which I've rated 7.6252. And I always, or Village of Valeria, 7.71623. And they say, how can you be that anal about how much you like or dislike a game? That's ridiculous. It's an artifact. It's of how I rank games. Because let's make up a new game. Let's call it the Millennium Files. Nope, that was a TV show. All I can think of is let's say somebody makes a board game out of the Millennium Files. Was it Millennium Files? Which was Chris Carter offshoot. The Millennium Project. Let's call it the Millennium Project. And I check out this game, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep this game. Well, first of all, if I'm not going to keep the game, I get rid of it. It doesn't get a ranking, and I describe why I got rid of it. I put it in previously owned, and so if you go to gone.rahdo.com, you can see why I got rid of, I don't know, I think I've got like 2,000 games listed there or something like that, with 2,000 reasons that I got rid of games. Because I am fundamentally unhappy with the default rank. Here's the deal. The ranking system of Board Game Geek, if you want to rank something, it gives you a metric, suggestions about how to rank. And it's basically a 1 to 10 scale where 10 is outstanding, always want to play the game, expect this will never change, and 1 is defies description as a game. You won't catch me dead playing this, clearly broken. 1, it is ridiculous to have a level of granularity of average game slightly boring. 4, that's a 5. 4, not so good, it doesn't get into me, but I could be talked into it. 3, likely won't play, though I could be convinced it's bad. 2, extremely annoying game, won't ever play this again. 1, defies description. That's useless. That's all the same. That is the. I mean, if this were a star system, a 5-star system, a 1-star would suffice for all of that, and it would be much better. Because here's the fundamental fallacy of this: the fact that it conflates 2 different things. My subjective feeling about the quality of the game and whether I'm willing to play it. And those 2 things have nothing to do with each other. Because there could be a game that is brilliant, one of the best I've ever played, but you will never catch me dead playing it. And that means I have to give it a 1, because you won't catch me dead playing this game, because it has too much take that in it. But I think it is an objectively brilliant design, and it should be a 9. Excellent. But 9 is excellent game, always want to play it. There are a lot of excellent games you'll never make me play, ever. And by the same token, there are a few really terrible games that, yeah, I'll play. And so the fundamental conceit of the top 10 system for Board Game Geek has always been broken from day one. It is literally impossible to rate anything by their metrics. And it drives me nuts. And I wish they would fix it. But they never will. It is what it is. So That's why I don't rank anything with a bad ranking, because the bad rankings are where it's really, really bad. The high rankings, I don't like it either. But for the high rankings, first of all, I don't rank anything at 10 because that would be pure perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. So the highest thing I give is 9s. And those are, I tend to think of a 9 as, I do kind of like some, I tend to think of them more about how likely am I to hold on to it or get rid of it. A 9, I'm never going to get rid of. Not that, they do a different thing where I'll always want to play it. No, there's no game in the universe that I will always want to play under any circumstances. That's a ridiculous metric. No game can be a 10. But games I'll never get rid of, those are 9s. Games that are just below that are like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. I'm so excited. I would happily play it. I'm generally excited to get the chance to play it. Those are 8s. 7s are, oh, this is a really good, solid game. I like this. I respect this. I might get rid of it someday. And 8s, lower 8s, 8.5 is an important line for me. Lower 8s are, and 7s are, yeah, there might be circumstances where I get rid of it. And then 6s are, oh, it's fine. It's okay. Kind of borderline meh. In a standard star system, I rank things 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars. That's how I think of them, and I translate 2, 3, 4, and 5 stars into 9, 8, 7, 6, right? All right, I might have gotten that a bit off. But anyway, that's kind of what I do. So anyway, going back, talking about this game, the Millennium Project, right? And I think what I do is, how much do I like this game what does this game feel like? How much do I like it compared to other things? And I might think, you know what? This kind of feels like a 7-ish based on those initial numbers. And then I'll go to the 7s, and I'll pick a random place in the 7s, and I'm looking right now at the Cave. Do I like it more or less than the Cave? No, I like the Cave more. Do I like it more or less than the Mine? No, I like the Mine. I definitely like the Mine more. I know that. I think I like it more than Octodice. So then I start going back up. Okay, do I like it more than Village? And this is what I do. I just do that until I find the number, and then I'll eventually find, you know what? I don't like it as much as Indus 2500. I like it more than Eminent Domain Microcosm. And so then I will rate it a 7.7166. Because that's what it'll take for it to appear between those two games in my existing list. And it's ridiculous. And it's how I get all my crazy, far out things that people make fun of me all the time for doing. But it's perfectly logical. I don't know how else I'm supposed to do this if I want to come up with a definitive. Because believe me, this list is a lifesaver for me. It makes it so much easier for me because I play hundreds of games every year. And people are always asking me, how's this game compared to that game? Like, well, go to rank.rahdo.com. You can see I put hard numbers on it. So that's what I have to do. It'd be great if Board Game Geek had some kind of system other than this, but this is what I got to use. And honestly, I kind of think it's funny. Whenever there are weird things that Board Game Geek does not want you to put in 8 decimal points. You can do it, but you kind of have to paste it in. It won't let you type them in, but you can copy and paste them in. Because I do have a couple that get that high because I just got to keep squeezing in between other games. And would I change it? Not if I want to use Board Game Geek. I don't think there's another way you could do this. There is not. It is simply impossible. So this is the way I do it. This is the way I would do it again. Now, what I know is, there are, I don't remember the name of them, unfortunately. But if you ask in the general questions on Board Game Geek, people will be able to tell you where. There are sites you can go to that will read Board Game Geek, get your entire collection, and then start throwing a series of flashcards at you. Asking, let's see, in my example, forcing me to compare my farm shop to the Loop. And then Project Elite to Anachrony. And then Fields of Green to Free Radicals. And then Zapotec to my farm shop. And it'll just keep throwing random things at me. And I keep asking the same game compared to other stuff. And I found those. I started doing it once. And at the time, I had 300 or 400 games I had to do. And after an hour, and it showed no signs of stopping, and it gave me no progress meter, letting me know when am I going to be done with this, I said, I am done. I can't use this system. I think, to be fair, it did let you save your progress. So you could come back to it. And I just never went back to it. That is the right way to do it. It's very scientific. Mine is prone to error. Occasionally, that process I just talked about, I'll be doing it, and I'll realize, oh, that game should be above that game. Oh crap, I got to fix some stuff. Because it's very potshot. This other system would be better, but I can't. I've seen the sites. I can't do it. I'm just gonna stick with what I've got. And because all this stuff, the only place, if there's another site that does this better, maybe I would start over. But I live on Board Game Geek, so this is the best way to use Board Game Geek as far as I know. So that's my trick. And if I were to start all over from scratch, I'd probably do it again. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think that's it. We've made it. Then, folks, hey, I've done it. So what's about to happen is, well, what will happen shortly is we're going to go to a few more game questions that were of interest that I think Jen might have something to say about. But before that, in case you didn't know, I have been streaming this live to an audience of about, 80 or so of my most ardent diehard fans. And what I'm going to do is pause here for a second and see if any of them have any questions that they would like to throw in to add to the podcast. So hang on, we'll be right back. Okay. Hey, everybody. Was that fun? Did I lose all of you? Was that interesting? Let's check the queue. Did anybody put any questions in the queue by starting your question with a question mark? I think I said that, didn't I? It feels like a lifetime ago. All right, it looks like I've got 3. Boppity. What is the extension? Kickstarter. Okay. And Adventure Inc. as a future game. Seems to have gone quiet. Have you seen? Yes. Okay. I can answer all 3 of those. Okay. So. What I've done is, here's the thing. I mentioned right up front, I'm risking everything by running one copy of OBS to stream while I'm running another copy of OBS to record. The reason I'm doing that is because I literally hit the pause button on the record while I continued to stream. And so when I hit the pause button again, to the podcast people, it'll just be, just like I'll suddenly snap to another spot and I'll answer these questions. So, I'm going to go through, looks like 2 from Detel Quest, 1 from Ryan Knights Around a Table, and 1 from Wessaloid. Okay, yeah. Those are, okay, cool. So, let's do those. Although, I'm going to pause for a second because I just heard my phone beep, and I think I heard it beep a couple of times while I was going. Let's see, was it anything important? All right. Nope, it was not. All right, so, phew. Okie doke. So, folks, we are almost done. Alrighty, let's get back to it. Where's my unpause button? Okay, they've got a few. I kind of liked them. Let's get to them. First of all, let's see. Let me put this on the screen. Knights Around a Table, who is another contributor to the show, does fantastic rules run-through videos. As far as I'm concerned, Ryan, if you're still here, I'll say it. You're the best in the business. And I say that with all the love for Rodney and for Paul and for John and for everybody else who does it. But Ryan, you truly are the best, which is why I asked you to be on my channel doing Rahdo Rules Run-Through. But that's neither here nor there. But that's just like a little advertisement, folks. If you ever see a Rahdo Rules Run-Through, you're getting the best in the business. But anyway, Ryan asked, do I have any opinions about Ravensburger's investment partnership with GameFound? And maybe I should have vetted that a little more because no, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, Ryan. What is this? Let me go on ahead and I'll just do a quick Google search. I just do not pay attention to board game media news at all. Google, right now, I see. Ravensburger / GameFound. Right. I'm just going to do a search for that. What does this give me? Ravensburger invests $4.5 million in a partnership with board game crowdfunder GameFound. Wow. Well, that's a fine how do you do. Right, it's part of an innovation and investment program, Next Ventures. Because remember, Ravensburger is more than just board games. Ravensburger is a huge publishing company in Germany, if I recall correctly. So they've got money to throw around beyond just board game stuff. So quoted in the GameFound, Ravensburger's head of global games, Philip Franke, said the partnership would help make his firm more brand game pitches into final products. Ravensburger evaluates over 1,000 games ideas a year, adding we can ultimately publish only a handful of these games on our own, but hundreds more are concepts we know board game fans would really love. GameFound makes it easier for all creators to produce the games of their dreams, and we're excited to support a platform that will help deliver even more game experiences to tabletop fans around the world. Like I said, this is all news to me, but I guess my opinion is that's exciting. That is very, very cool because I definitely believe it is a good thing for Kickstarter to have stronger competition. And GameFound, I already believe, is a superior platform, both for the people running the campaign and for folks who are trying to back stuff. Because when they were setting up GameFound, they implemented a lot of features that longtime users of Kickstarter were begging for. And Kickstarter is just, it's the king of the hill. They haven't had to innovate or whatnot. So if this pumps GameFound to the next level, and it pushes Kickstarter. I mean, I know I'm basically parodying the standard capitalist, solves all problem cry, but capitalism does kind of work on a simple base level. Capitalism has a lot of problems. Heavily regulated capitalism is the key to prosperity. And when I say heavily, I mean heavily regulated capitalism. Unfettered pure capitalism, one, doesn't exist, but two, shouldn't even be tried because it will destroy us all. But heavily regulated for the betterment of all capitalism, and I'm genuinely excited about that. And so, but I don't know much more. I can't wait to see what happens as a result. Let's see. Then we move on to, alrighty, Detelquest. I have no idea how to say your name, Detelquest. I'm going to call you Bob. Bob says, a couple of years ago, I had Adventure Inc. as a future game of interest. Seems to have gone quiet. Have I seen or had any updates in regard? Yes, I do. Bob, if that is your real name. Adventure Inc. is going to be the second game from board game publisher. I believe he named his company Adventure Inc. as well, if I recall correctly. The first one is Plunderous. Plunderous went to Kickstarter, gosh, has it been almost 2 years ago now? And didn't quite fund. It came out at the wrong time, with the wrong price point, and the wrong sales pitch. I did a run through for it. I think it's an amazing game. The plan was, after Plunderous successfully kickstarted, and successfully funded and successfully shipped, then Adventure Inc. was going to come along. And Adventure Inc. I am still super excited about, because where's our Gloomhaven the Roll and Write? Taking as, that's what I want. That's what Adventure Inc. is. That's its elevator pitch, basically. And but he has put that on the shelf until Plunderous is done. Now, that's not to say he hasn't continued to work on Adventure Inc. And quite frankly, I'm not going to reveal anything about it, but the original elevator pitch for Adventure Inc. is gone, and the new one is even cooler and more exciting. And if Plunderous ever funds and makes it into the hands of backers, I am actually personally going to be very heavily involved in Adventure Inc. In a way that is very unconventional, and I can't really say anything about now because it's kind of a game changer, and I'm really excited about it. But it's on hold, waiting to see how Plunderous does. And Plunderous is hopefully coming back this year. Basically, Plunderous 2 is coming back, addressing all the complaints, concerns that potential backers had, and hopefully it'll do much better because it deserves to do better. And I'll be covering it when it comes out. So, we then move on to, if I can close that. Alrighty. What we got? Alrighty. Wesseloid wonders, does my signature sign-off that ends in bye-bye have an origin story? It always reminds me of the SNL flight attendant sketch with David Spade and Helen Hunt, and the stand-up comedy bit from Ellen DeGeneres, both from the 90s. Any connection? Yes. I am literally channeling Helen Hunt and David Spade every time I end, because I loved that. I think if you just do a Google search, anybody, just do a search for SNL, which stands for Saturday Night Live, bye-bye or bye-bye, you will get clips of this. It's a famous sketch, from one of the best times in SNL history. And I used to say it all the time. And it's very abrasive and derisive. It's a couple of real jerks in the sketch, but I say it with love, and it's just fun. Everybody, talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye. But yeah, I'm literally, you nailed it completely. That is the quote. I didn't know Ellen DeGeneres had a similar one. It's 100% David Spade. All right. Okay. What have we got here? Goblin 981 says, I've noticed that Fister's story campaigns are just a new setup for each game. There's no progress from game to game with a final score like most games would do. What are your thoughts on that? My thoughts are it's great. It's so simple. It's so easy that you have a really solid game that just works, right? And you can just play the game 100 times. And that's what Pfister does. Oh My Goods, Cloud Age, whatever. And then you just come up with a few little twists. Things that would almost be just promo packs or portions of an expansion. So you design those extra bits. And then you say, hey, you know what? After the first chapter, you just played the regular game. Oh no, a meteor has struck. And now, you did such a great job saving the city. Now we have to fight the meteoroids, monsters that are attacking. And so you introduce meteoroids, a new type of card that just changes it. And you play that. And then you're like, okay, good job. The meteoroids are still there. And so you play the third game in the campaign, and now you're still having to do meteoroids, but there's the queen meteoroids. It's simple stuff. It's not going to win Pulitzer Prizes or anything like that, but it's just wonderful. And it just pulls me through. Human beings love having stories told to them. I have often argued, and I used to have to make this argument in the video when I was a video game developer for years, because that's like one of the fundamental divides amongst video game designers. How important is story? How important are cinematics? And I always said they're very important. And I had plenty of coworkers who said these are a waste of time. Nobody cares. Everybody skips them. No. My argument was always, if you go to a restaurant where the front page of the menu has, or the back or whatever, has a little paragraph devoted to the story of how this restaurant came to be, how it was, the owner's grandmother came from the old country and carried these recipes and whatever it is and came to the new world, and even as something as simple and cliched and tropish as that, instantly makes me more engaged and interested in the food I'm about to eat because you just told me a story about that food, as opposed to, oh, this is a restaurant and there's no story there at all. What is the story of Denny's? I have no idea. They should put it on the menu. I would be more engaged if I went and ate at Denny's. So I love that Alexander Pfister does it. It broke my heart when it didn't happen in Boone Lake. It doesn't have to be very hard. It's not like it's a really high bar we're trying to cross, but it definitely makes the experience better, in my experience, in my opinion. It makes it better for me anyway. Okay, and it's so easy to do. Why not do it? Where's our Agricola story expansion? All right, where we go through multiple generations of a family, and the world keeps changing. Well, it's great if it changed because of choices we make, but that's a lot more work. That's a lot harder. It requires a lot more balance. Don't do that. Just make a series of promos that can be turned on, and it just tells a nice little story. That's great. Especially because the thing I love the most about Pfister is, I gave you a really bad example of how to do it. What Pfister generally does is, there are characters, interesting characters. It's less about the change of the world, it's about the journey these characters are going on and the interpersonal conflicts. And inevitably, what happens is, those characters become cards you use in the game. And I'm playing another card. It's Bob. I'm playing Bob now, and I know what Bob went through to get to this point, how he almost died 2 chapters ago, and I'm playing him now, and it adds so much more weight to just playing another card in a card game. So easy to do. Everybody should be doing this. Anyway, let's see. Forest of Glass asks, do I think the Dice Tower crew would work better at making jokes that they don't cut each other down? Isn't mean humor the easiest humor? And we should be modeling healthy behavior for the youngins, join the hobby and the online creator sphere. I just answered another question about how my literal sign-off is based off of a classic mean humor sketch. I think it would be a problem if they get feedback from the audience, if they get repeated feedback that, wow, you guys are so mean to each other. If they got that, I think that's something that they should take on board and that they should try to articulate while doing it. Because, it's important for them to have fun. It's important for the audience to have fun. But it is also important for the audience to understand, look, this is just in the grand classic tradition of poke each other humor. Goes all the way back to Abbott and Costello. It goes way back before Abbott and Costello. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it, provided that the audience is taking it correctly. And I think it's incumbent to ensure, I can't speak to Dice Tower. I don't know what responses they get, but I can give a personal experience. I did a top 10 with Ryan and Shay when both of them came on the channel as a way to introduce both of them to the audience. Maybe I should do that with Kim. Anyway, though, and it was each of us doing our top 10 favorite games of all time. Or top 10 must-have games, which is different than favorites. And Ryan came on and was just blitzed both of us. And we both thought it was hilarious. We were all having a great time. We were all laughing. But for days afterwards, I got nonstop, that Ryan is the biggest jerk in the industry. Could you please remove him from the channel? He makes me uncomfortable. And it occurred to me, my mistake. It was my fault that I did not make it clear to the audience that, please bear in mind, we are friends and we are just doing banter. And it's just good fun. I hope you can enjoy it. I understand if you can't enjoy it. And I hope you'll catch us on the next video. Here's a list of what all the games we're going to talk about are. I don't watch the Dice Tower enough. Honestly, I miss it. That was the mainstay of the Tom, Z, Sam the Holy Trinity, and it was great. They had such great chemistry, but it was all based on poking and making fun, and I really enjoyed it. And I think the majority of audience did. And like I said, I think it's incumbent on them to try to make it as approachable and comfortable for their audience as possible, while still being true to themselves. So if it was an issue, I hope they talked to people about it and made them feel more comfortable with it. That's certainly what I tried to do when I had my run-in with that. Alrighty. Hockey Dude asks, what are some good underrated deck building games that come to mind that don't get the hype they deserve? Oh, well, right off the bat, the easy answer, Ausonia. Ausonia. That is one of the best deck builders of recent years. I did a run through for it, or I did a rundown of it. You can check it out. It's a keeper. I think I mentioned it in my top 10 must take on the road games with me, because it's that rare deck builder where you don't feel like you need to buy more stuff, that it comes with enough in the box and enough variety. It's got a little bit of take that in it, which I'm not crazy about, but I like it so much I keep it in spite of that. Ausonia. And, as was mentioned earlier in this podcast, not enough people are talking about Imperial Legends and Imperial... the other one. That we've talked about at great length at this point in the podcast. Those games should be on everybody's mind, and it's a shame they're not. So those are the two that come to mind immediately. Alrighty, and we've got let's see here. Right, one more, and it's a follow-up from Forrest. They kind of came out of order. It's a follow-up to the Dice Tower question. Is there a responsibility for content creators? So this is a bit more broad and in general, not about Dice Tower specifically. Is there a responsibility for contest creators to model positive, inclusive playing habits and behaviors if the goal is to grow the hobby community? I don't think responsibility is a very strong word. I don't think it's a responsibility for anybody to do anything they don't want to do. I think it's a great opportunity. I don't like to talk about anybody's responsibility. I like to talk about people's opportunity to, as you say, model inclusive playing habits and behaviors. If I were to do a run through, I'll give you more examples from myself. Jen used to appear almost once a month in live streams, and she would occasionally appear in regular run throughs. And my wife and I, we playfully barter with each other, or joust all the time. We've been married for, I talked about it, since 1991. And we're very happily married. We're very comfortable. We know what our limits are. So occasionally I would do that with her on camera, and she would not reciprocate because she was fundamentally uncomfortable. She just wanted to stay quiet, play her cards, and get out because she's never been comfortable on camera. And I didn't realize at the time, because I was just having fun, the same way we have fun all the time. And I figured, the audience will have fun too. And so many times I got feedback from viewers, and I didn't brush it off. Viewers saying, wow, Rahdo is literally an abusive husband. What a dick. I feel so bad for her. He is such an a-hole. And why is he like that? Why does anybody think he's a nice guy? And that was totally my fault. It was not unreasonable for an audience member to take that because they don't have the 30 years of experience of our marriage. And I didn't. It was incumbent on me, if you want to say responsibility, it wasn't my responsibility, but it was a missed opportunity for me to very clearly, one, either modulate, and there would have been nothing wrong with that. I could have easily done that. And I think I ultimately did stop. I stopped doing the jest and barbs, which I knew she was fine with. She was laughing, and I would talk to her after, and I would show her the comments. She said, why are people thinking that? I'm totally fine. I'm a grown woman. Why are people, upset on my behalf? It's totally fine. And anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I still thought it was reasonable. What is it? Hanlon's razor. Never ascribe to malice what can be explained by ignorance. And people who are ignorant of our relationship, perfectly reasonable for them to, actually I kind of mixed it up there, but you get what I mean. So it is something that I don't have to change, but I did, not because it was my responsibility, because it was an opportunity. And I think wherever possible, there's two ways to address it. Change the behavior or articulate. Our job as board game media people is to explain games. We can spend a little bit of time explaining our media as well to try to ensure everybody understands what's really going on. And nobody's responsible to, but it's a shame if given the opportunity to, you don't take that chance. I've gotten a lot of feedback. I've made some terrible, terrible mistakes running my show. And rather, when people called me out on it, I could just say, screw them. They're being sensitive Sallies. I'll just do whatever I want. I could do that, or I could listen. And I could try to make the show better for more people. And that's always been my goal. I would suspect that is true for Tom as well. He and I have never had a conversation about this. And like I said, I love the heck out of Tom Z and Sam going at it. To me, it was so obvious that they were fast friends just having a good time. But I loved Abbott and Costello growing up too. And that is a very toxic relationship going on between those two. Hey, Abbott! So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just of a certain generation. So that's kind of my feeling on that. And that's it, folks. I've made it through the live chat questions. And so, hang on. We'll be right back with Jen for some more gaming questions. Okie doke. Boom. We did it. Those are good questions, folks. Thank you. Hopefully those were good answers. Alrighty. So, I'm not going to stop recording yet. Let's see. Did I miss anything? Oh, by the way, thank you, Denoga, 21 minutes ago for the 100 bits, getting us closer to unlocking another run-through. That is excellent. And Genesee, from 34 minutes ago, subscribing to Prime, getting us closer to unlocking another RVR. Thank you very much for supporting the show. It means a lot. And thanks to everybody for following. The more followers we get, we're unlocking another bonus top 10. Somebody was asking, hey, when's the next top 10 going to be? Oh, I think it's going to be when we have that goal right there. Bonus top 10. Get up to, hit that follower goal. And every time somebody follows, we're getting closer to that as well. I should have mentioned that. That would have been a good opportunity to mention that in the podcast. I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. But whoever asked that question, hopefully you watched this extended version and you got to hear that as well. But, right, okay, we are just about the 2-hour mark. Let me just scroll through and see, those question marks, oh, that just makes life so much easier. Because right now I'm just looking at a wall of colored text without really very good line breaks, and I wouldn't even know where to start or stop. So starting a question with a question mark works great. Let's see. Wes Lloyd asks, have I watched Mythic Quest? My comments about story and dramatics brought it to mind. I like Mythic Quest quite a bit. My problem with it is, because I spent so many years in the video game industry, I realize what a flight of fancy it is in terms of the actual logistics of how video games are made, because I know. But I can turn that off and just enjoy that it's a great workplace comedy. And certainly while the methodology that they employ to make games and the roles that they have and the interplay between people is totally made up, the people themselves very much remind me of people I have worked with in my 20 years in the video game industry. So it kind of brings flashbacks back, some of them. And I'm sure there's a bit of me in all those characters too. So yeah, I really dug Mythic Quest. That's an Apple Plus show, I think, right? Well, once again, why Apple Plus? If you got to pick one streaming service, it's got to be Apple Plus, which is crazy. Let's see, what else? I mean, you can still start questions with questions, but you know what? I am exhaustimated. So I think I am just going to take a breather, maybe have a little bit of ice cream, because, I shouted quite a bit for 2 hours there. And I'm going to call it quits. So hopefully everybody enjoyed this. We'll be back next Tuesday of next week, me and Ruel continuing our top 100 games of all time. And next Friday, Ruel and I will be doing a live playthrough of probably Stella, a Dixit game. And hopefully if we can figure it out, you, the audience, will be able to play along with us. We'll see. And Jen has already confirmed she will make an appearance, and it will not be a repeat of when Jen has made appearances in the past. I was talking about games where I'm accused of being an abusive husband. Mysterium. If you go watch my run through of Mysterium, and that was a tricky one too, because Jen was the ghost. She couldn't actually talk, and I was just making fun. I was just poking fun at the choices she made, but she knew I was joking, and some of the audience did, some of the audience didn't, and that's on me. I could have done a better job. So, but I am blown out right now. So let me go on ahead and find ye old raid button, and let's see, right. So, and let me do a search for board games, and let's see. Does anybody have a channel they like? Because I am not familiar. Okay, you know what? I'm torn. I really like Loozapalooza. They're always a safe bet. They're very entertaining. But I feel like I should show to somebody we haven't seen before. It's just I don't know who any of these folks are. That is the tricky, sticky wicket. Does anybody have any recommendations for channels that are live on Twitch right now that they personally believe are they personally vouch for, and I would love to give them a raid. So. Let's see. Hit me with your best shot. Anybody in the chat. Provided you haven't all run away because I said we're about to raid. You want to stick around for the raids so you can get the Rahdo points, so you can unlock more stuff in the R&R show. Let's see here. So, what? Oh, Ruel Gaviola is on. I didn't notice that. Is he starting? Or is he just, what is he doing? Ruel, are you live right now? Because, of course, I'm just going to throw to Ruel. Alrighty. Cricket is fun to watch, somebody says. Orange Crust says. Ruel is going live. Then, okay, well, I'm pretty confident about Ruel. Let's raid Ruel. Let's give him all the love. Let's just keep the Rahdo train going. Right, ready to raid. It's getting ready now. And, yeah. And by the way, thank you for Forest of Glass. Those are good questions. Those are important questions. And I look forward to seeing what your responses were because I didn't actually watch them in real time. But I'm hitting the raid button now. Go! And go raid his loading page because I don't think he's actually live yet because he was waiting for the raid before he actually made it go. Okay. Let's see here. And, oh man, went the whole time, didn't crash, didn't glitch out. That is good news, everyone. But I am done now, so I'm going to hit the stop recording. I'm going to hit the stop streaming. I'm going to say, yes, I am sure I want to stop the stream. Bye-bye. I didn't hit the button. Trying again. Bye-bye.